Why is Donald Trump angry to Putin, and how does Gulf diplomacy work? Answers to these questions we will find right now. My name is Irina Uzlova, and today with us is Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good evening, Irina.
Very good, bright, beautiful pictures we saw from Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump and President of Finland, Alexander Stubb, visited the United States of America. Stubb talked with Trump for 7 hours, played golf, as we see, said that Russia cannot be trusted, suggested setting a deadline to Kremlin. How does such diplomacy work, Michael? Did Stubb manage to convince Trump that it is necessary to put pressure on Putin?
This is a good game, but nobody knows who won in this game, yeah? Ukraine or Russia. This game between President of Finland and President of United States. Yes, we heard the claim of President Trump that he will put the pressure of Russian Federation, but at the same time he put a pressure on Ukraine. So yes, we believe that Mr. Trump is very difficult situation. Then Mr. Putin doesn't want a ceasefire, and the time after the call of President Trump to Mr. Putin is over. Yeah, it is 2 weeks from the last call, and nothing just moving forward. And President Trump doesn't good in this situation. And generally, Mr. Stubb, President of Finland, just wants to help President Trump to move things forward. But in reality, if it moves forward in reality, it is difficult to say. It doesn't look like.
But we see that such kind of diplomacy can be effective. How can we learn such lessons from this?
Lessons from what? From the game? From the golf game?
Diplomacy.
Golf diplomacy. Well, I believe that if it will help us, so President Zelenskiy, he is a very young man and very sportive guy, and I believe he should study playing golf. It is not a big deal for him. During the last 3 years and more than 1 month, President Zelenskiy studied a lot of things. He studied English language and started speaking publicly, and a lot of things really, and studied the art of negotiation and art of deals, to making deals like Mr. Trump called that. So I believe that to play golf, it is just a couple of lessons for him. But at the same time, you can't become the friend of Mr. Trump, after one game or a couple of games. It is not enough. You should not just play the golf with Mr. Trump, but you should also lose to Mr. Trump. As you have seen now, just on the picture, the biggest cup was in the hands of Mr. Trump. So obviously Mr. Trump is the champion in this game, and nobody can win him. And by the way, President Zelenskiy tried to put himself against Mr. Trump and to win him in some competition in White House. This ended not so good.
On the other hand, Alexander Stubb is a very strong European politician, and his influence can be great, it seems to me, because he used to work in great European commons, different institutions, and Finland is that country that understands clearly all risks from the Russian Federation. So I think that Stubb translated it to Donald Trump. Can this effect of his statements can manage Trump's opinion in future maybe, or even now when Trump sees that Putin destroys really his plan about ceasefire until, for example, April 20?
Well, I personally don't believe. Why? Because for us, for Ukrainians, Mr. Stubb is the great president of great country, of our big partner, very big partner, Finland. For European Union, this is also very important country. And Finland has very long very long common border with Russian Federation, and Finland is the first row. Then the war between NATO and Russian Federation will start, so Finland will be one of the first countries who will be under attack. And this is the reason why Finland joined NATO just a couple of years ago. Yes, but for Americans, I not mean American nation, but for the current administration of United States, Finland is not serious country. You know how they measure that. When you hear, for example, from Vice President J.D. Vance, he said that about England and France, that this is very small countries and not serious countries, some neglectable countries, he called them. Then they wanted to send British and French troops as peacekeepers to Ukraine. And if you heard the interview between Tucker Carlson and Mr. Witkoff, they also called different European countries as small countries and not important countries. So then they will judge Finland. They also, I mean the American administration. We also will ask what is the population of Finland, for example. What is this country? What is this country? And this is country of 5 million people. Mm-hmm. And what is GDP of Finland? It is like GDP of one of American state or less than one of American states. It is just 300 billion USD. So this is like GDP of Ukraine. And they are not serious about Europeans. They don't respect Europeans, absolutely. And if they don't respect British and French, so they don't respect also Finnish people and the state of Finland, Finland Republic. So I don't believe that President of Finland can change the mind of President of United States. I'm sorry. From the beginning, I said with all of respect from Ukrainian people towards Finland, we don't see now the respect of United States to anybody. We want to occupy the biggest part of Denmark. And Vice President of United States, J.D. Vance, came to a military base in Greenland and says the words that Denmark is very bad ally, and we are ready to occupy a huge part of Denmark, which is called Greenland. And he says it staying on the Danish territory, on the Danish land, which was just rented by Americans. So why we should respect Finland, I don't believe.
That strange visit of J.D. Vance, really, it was like official, but not nobody in Greenland and Dan Republic were glad to see J.D. Vance and his wife and Michael Waltz. What can you say about this strange company, and what were the main goals of this visit?
I could say that it was not official visit. It was not official visit. Official visit is a situation when you, as Vice President of United States, come to another country, and the leadership of this country, they meet you. They meet you about your jet or in the office or etc. with all the official ceremonies. But not only the government of Denmark, but also the government of Greenland autonomy, they said that we are not ready to accept American delegation. It was at the beginning. It was planned as a delegation of the Second Lady, Usha Vance, the spouse of Mr. Vance. Afterwards, Mr. Waltz, the security advisor of President Trump, joined the Second Lady, and just afterwards, the Vice President joined with delegation. And at this moment, they knew that this is the delegation of Vice President of United States. Then Greenland authorities, they said, we are not ready to accept them. And touristic agency of Greenland, this is just private touristic agency, they canceled the tour to Second Lady of United States. So they landed on the military base. And military base, as I said, is rented territory which is rented by United States. And they have, according to agreement between Denmark and United States, and this is agreement from the World War II, they have a right to land on the military base, not in the Greenland itself. So it was not a visit to Denmark or visit to Greenland. It was visit to military base of United States. And it was absolutely anti-Denmark speech of J.D. Vance. And you know, it was, I just recalled some events in Russian military base in Crimea. When before the occupation of Crimea, Russians, they had a military base which they rented in Sevastopol, the base of Russian Navy. And also different Russian politicians, they came to this base and make some speeches and said some words about the future of Crimea, and part of them, I could mention the former mayor of Moscow city, Mr. Lushkov, who is dead, and okay, that is good news. This is not only good news. He said that Crimea is part of Russian Federation. And he said it on Ukrainian land, staying on Ukrainian land in Russian military base. And now it absolutely the same happens with Denmark. Absolutely the same. And this is very dangerous because it could be the beginning of the huge war between the United States and Denmark. And after this visit, President Trump said again and again, but I'm sure that we will annex Greenland, and if Denmark doesn't agree that by diplomatic way, so we will occupy that with military forces.
Yes, he told about it, talking to NBC News correspondent, but Trump explains his goal about annexion of Greenland like a question of national security, and he thinks that such step can be against China influences. Does it really take some common with reality?
Let's say, first, when he started speaking about that, he started speaking about national security, yeah. But I remember that in one of his speeches, he also said that Greenland has a great minerals in their land. And it will be also very good business for United States and Greenlandic people. He wanted to buy Greenlandic people, Inuits, I mean the nation who lives in Greenland, and when he wanted, I don't know how to say that, he asked them to join the United States or something like that. He invited them to the United States, let's say. Yeah, he invited them to the United States. He invited also Canadian people to be part of United States, and also Greenlandic people to be the part of United States. By the way, J.D. Vance said that he wants from Greenlandic people to get independence from Denmark, which is also against the wish of Greenlandic nation, because they very openly said that on the election. Election happened in Greenland just a couple of weeks ago. And before this visit, just on Friday, 4 out of 5 parliamentary parties, they organized the government of Greenland. And these 4 parties, this is anti-American parties. There is only one pro-American party and 4 anti-American parties. And these 4 anti-American parties, they joined efforts to build the new government of Greenland. So this is anti-American government. And now when President Trump says that Greenland is very important as a point of security, and Mr. Vance also said this is a point of security against Russians and Chinese. Maybe, why not? This is absolute possibility, yeah, but at the same time, Denmark and US, they are but the members of NATO, of Defense Union, NATO. And they could make common efforts without any annexation and war between them. And Denmark is ready to give more place for American bases. You want more American bases? You are welcome to have more American bases. You want to send more soldiers? You are welcome. Why not? And by the way, we have also nuclear weapon on Greenland. So it doesn't fit one with other, you know. You want just security, so use Greenland as security. But if you want to stall the land and to stall the minerals, this is another story.
Talking about rare earth minerals, Donald Trump made some fresh statements this weekend. He told that Zelensky can have big problems if he doesn't sign an agreement on rare earth minerals that is not profitable for him. And at the same time, the representative of Russia, Kirill Dmitriev, says that Russia and the USA are also preparing an agreement on rare earth resources. But it really looks to me that Donald Trump is the one who loses if we don't sign this deal, unfair deal, because he is the one who promised his voters he would pay money back due to this deal. What are the scenarios we have now regarding whether to sign the rare earth deal or not, and about what does Kirill Dmitriev talk?
Well, let's start from Kirill Dmitriev. Okay. Kirill Dmitriev is he's Russian almost non-official because he's just the spouse of the Mr. Putin's friend of Mr. Putin's daughter. It is very, very weak family connection to Mr. Putin, and that's all. And the claims by Mr. Kirill Dmitriev is not official claims, and we can't trust them. We can't absolutely trust them, because we never heard from American delegation that we have any negotiation about any rare metals, etc., etc. So it could be just fairy tale by Russians, like the fairy tale, for example, about ice hockey games. Then after the first call, I call it the first call because this week Mr. Trump, President Trump, announced the second call between him and Mr. Putin. So after the first call, we heard from Kremlin that Mr. Putin offered to organize ice hockey match between NHL players and Russian league players, and Mr. Trump agreed. But from that point, it was 2 weeks over, and we never heard any news about any ice hockey game. Yeah, just we heard the interview of NHL commissioner who said, no, we don't know anything about that. So it could be absolutely false and absolutely just Russian fairy tales. So let's concentrate only on anything which we know exactly, which is really happens. And what happens is the detective story about the agreement about minerals between Ukrainian Ukraine and US. The first time when that story started, the Minister of Finance of United States came to Kyiv with his first draft of the agreement, and President Zelensky did not agree to sign that. But Americans said this is not first draft. This is our claim. We want this and only this. But during a couple of weeks, during the negotiation, the two countries agreed for a new deal. It was agreed. It was agreed by Finance Minister of US, and Minister of Finance said that, okay, we agreed about the new agreement. And it was agreed by Ukrainian side, by the way, not only by Mr. Zelensky, but it was approved. This agreement was approved by government of United States. So it was on the table. Then President Zelensky came to White House. On the table was agreed text, exactly text of this agreement. And somehow changed from this point, yeah? Obviously, Mr. Trump wants more. He wants not only to own Ukrainian minerals, but he also wanted this agreement to put a point, that paragraph, that Ukraine has a debt before United States, the debt of $123 billion. Despite that, Ukraine doesn't have any debt. In reality, United States gave I don't know how to call it, grant or international aid to Ukraine. Yeah. 66 billion of that out of that was military aid, and 50 something of civil aid to the budget, Ukrainian budget, financial aid. And there is a law, by the way, there is an American law, which was voted in American Congress and Senate about this money. So Mr. Zelensky not just don't want to sign the agreement that Ukraine has any debt before US, but he also doesn't have any constitutional right to sign this agreement because it is against the American law and against Ukrainian law. And this Mr. Trump declaration of yesterday from Sunday, when he said that Mr. Zelensky will have the big problems, the interesting point here is why he speaks about Mr. Zelensky and not about Ukrainian nation. Mm-hmm. So Mr. Zelensky will have problems, or Ukrainian nation, or Ukrainian state will have problems. This is the big question, yeah? What does he mean? He want to kill Mr. Zelensky? I don't believe, yeah? So he wants to somehow to put the pressure on Ukrainians. And we know what exactly the way to put the pressure on Ukrainians is to stop military aid and to stop supplying the intelligence information to Ukrainian army. Because in this case, Mr. Trump kills Ukrainian people, civil people, together with Mr. Putin. They joined their effort to kill a lot of people in Ukrainian cities, like he did just 3 weeks ago when he stopped to supply this information, and Russians very successfully, from their point of view, bombed civil population in Ukrainian cities. And he wants to make the same. This is not a problem of Mr. Zelensky. He will make a very, very good problem, mortal problem to Ukrainian nation and not to Mr. Zelensky.
A normal situation, really, from such a democracy country, we see such unrealistic steps in this way, according to...
This is realistic. For my sorrow, this is realistic steps. This is unbelievable. This is unpredictable. This is unfair. But for my sorrow, it is realistic. Yeah, this is realistic in this Mr. Trump logic, yeah.
Trump's world, new Trump's world.
Yeah.
But we hope that something will change. And we see some changes in Trump's rhetoric. I was disappointed in a way. Some of the things Putin has said in the last days or two have to do with Zelensky. He thinks Zelensky is untrustworthy, but he has to make a deal with him, whether you like him or not. I don't think Putin will go back on his words about his intention to make a ceasefire. Trump was angry, noted a lot of Western medias. A spokesman of Russian dictator Putin told that it's only some translation difficulties, and Trump was not angry. But Reuters reported that US President Donald Trump's harsh comments against Russian dictator Putin reflect his growing frustration with the lack of movement on a ceasefire in Ukraine. So, was Trump angry? How do you think? And can Trump really, when he will become angrier, impose some sanctions against Russia?
Okay, angry or not angry, this is just emotion. Let's speak political language and not emotional language.
Okay.
Mr. Trump has a very big problem with Putin. This is the truth, yeah. And Mr. Trump, during the last week, he kept almost silence about peace process between Ukraine and Russia. Why? Because he don't want to make any new step before Mr. Putin make any step. Let's come back to for 2 weeks, yeah? 3 weeks, better is 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, Ukraine agreed, after the negotiation in Saudi Arabia with American delegation, Ukraine agreed to make the ceasefire, but temporary ceasefire, for 30 days without any conditions. Without any guarantees, just without any guarantees and without any conditions. And President Trump, in this way, he wanted the same step from Russians, to stop a war for 30 days without any conditions. And by the way, also in an interview between Mr. Witkoff and Tucker Carlson, Mr. Witkoff said, and he is special envoy of Mr. Trump, of President Trump, that his goal of his negotiation is to put this 30 days ceasefire without any conditions. And 1 week later, it was 2 weeks ago, President Trump called Mr. Putin and offered this offer. And Mr. Putin declined this offer, obviously. And Mr. Trump canceled his press conference after the call. Because when he went to call Mr. Putin, he said, today I will bring peace to Europe. And he didn't bring this peace to Europe. He didn't bring that. Because Mr. Putin just declined his offer. That's it. That is the situation. Okay, he tried once more. He sent his delegation to Saudi Arabia. And last weekend, I mean a week ago, they spent with negotiation with Ukrainian delegation and Russian delegation. And again, we didn't have any success. We could say that, okay, the ceasefire in energy, this is the success. But this is bullshit. This is not bring anybody to the peace, obviously. So this is just bullshit. Instead of saying we can't do any ceasefire, we say, okay, ceasefire with energy, which doesn't mean nothing because nobody signed anything. There is no paper, there is no agreement, there is no guarantees, just nothing. And what President Trump waited from Mr. Putin is the answer for 30 days ceasefire, and he didn't receive that. And then last week, President Trump said, okay, I believe that Mr. Putin and Russian Federation, they are not in a fair game. They just want to spend the time in this negotiation and during this negotiation to continue a war. And I'm not agree for this. I'm not agree for this. And now he says that again, you just want to spend the time. And why Mr. Putin could spend the time? Because he didn't have any deadline from Mr. Trump. But just yesterday, Mr. Trump, and this is the most important thing, not the sanctions, etc. The most important things that President Trump, first time in this negotiation process, he put a deadline to Mr. Putin.
Yes.
Put a deadline on Mr. Putin. This is the toughest thing. Yeah, when it says I want it, and you should do that during 1 month. And if you don't do that, so I will do that, and that. So this was only very, very tough step against Russian Federation, obviously.
But it seems to me that Putin will break this deadline at all.
I'm not sure. Putin is not so stupid. It is very difficult to him, yeah, because the sanctions which were promised by Trump, it is the toughest sanctions we ever heard about. This is the same type of sanctions which Americans now have against Venezuela, and Mr. Trump did that also. When they say about the 25% tariff on, this is not tariff on Russian oil. I heard that because I had some couple of interviews today, and people asked me about the tariff of 25% on Russian oil. But this is not like that, no. This is not tariffs against Russian oil. This is tariffs against each country who buys Russian oil. You understand? This is absolutely different. It means, for example, Indians, they buy Russian oil, we know that. Everybody knows that. And President Trump says, if Mr. Putin does not agree to my offer, so I put on India tariff of 25% of all Indian goods because they buy Russian oil. In fact, it is like embargo on Russian oil, like total embargo, because nobody wants to pay 25% tariff when you export anything to United States, only because you buy oil from Russian Federation. Not China want that, and not Vietnam, and not India, nobody. So de facto, this is if he does that, I mean Mr. Trump, so it means this is the total embargo. Also, Hungary will not buy the Russian oil in this case. Belarus will not buy Russian oil in this case, because Belarusians, they want to sell their fairy tales to, no, not fairy tales, fertilizers to United States.
And one more topic, please. Marine Le Pen sentenced to 4 years in prison. Le Monde reported about it. The court banned Le Pen from running for office for 5 years. In Kremlin, we see hysteria. Scoundrels trample democracy. Putin's mouse. Dmitry Peskov, his spokesman, told that it's very bad, that they do not disdain to go beyond the bounds of democracy during the political process. Noted Peskov that in European countries we cannot see democracy process. We saw some post from Viktor Orban, leader of Hungary, and his post looked like Je suis Marine. It's unnormal because Je suis is not about such situation. We know, Michael, can we acknowledge and say that Putin's friends in Europe are now in tough spot? They have problems because they touched with corruption and with different bad things in good politician in Europe.
Well, first of all, it is obviously very good news for us. Second, about Mr. Orban, he will have a big problem because in Kremlin and Russian Federation, they don't like anybody who changed the gender. And to say I'm Marine is to change the gender for Mr. Orban. And we will not like that in Kremlin. But seriously speaking, first, it means that Europe heard the signal from J.D. Vance, who arrived to Munich Security Conference, and said that you don't have enough democracy in Europe. And he taught Europe how to organize the real democracy. And J.D. Vance in his speech said you don't have democracy in Germany because you does not agree to make the government together the alternative for Germany, new Nazi party. And you don't have democracy in Romania when you cancelled the pro-Putin candidate from the election. And afterwards, it was after the Munich conference. Munich Security Conference was at the beginning of February. What Europe did afterwards? First, they finally stopped the candidacy in Romania. They finally stopped the candidacy of Mr. Georgescu, who was the, let's say, pro-Putin, not only pro-Putin politician, he was corrupted by Putin. Mm-hmm. And they cancelled his candidacy to the president election, which will be in the next month, in May. And now this is the next step. France is the next country where they stopped Russians. And I believe that now they will also stop Russians in each other European countries. So I believe that this is the real steps of Europe against Russian aggression, against Russian occupation. They tried to occupy Europe by soft power now, to pay the money to European politicians. By the way, you know that Marine Le Pen was sentenced because she spent the money of European Union, the funds that her party received from European Union, he spent on some, I don't know, for some other goals, yeah? But the previous finance which Marine Le Pen received was from Russian banks, and it was absolutely official. Mm-hmm. Her party received the loan from Russian state-owned bank, VTB, and this was loan of dozens of millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. As a finance to election campaign. The loan, but official loan again. And obviously she was connected to Russian Federation. So the next step, I believe we will hear it tomorrow. It is the new speech by J.D. Vance, who will say that, together with Mr. Putin, that this is anti-democratic movement, in French.
Yes, I'll wait too. I believe that we will hear some statements from J.D. Vance and his disappointment with this process. Michael, thank you very much for your for your thoughts and for your time. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you, Aaron. Bye.
Bye-bye. Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. My name is Irina Uzlova. Guys, thank you for joining us. Left your comments near this video and subscribe to our YouTube War and Politics 24. Take care. Bye.